I hope you make some mistakes today. If we're avoiding things that may lead to us making mistakes because we're afraid, because we're scared, we're not going to get anywhere. I hope you learn some things that push you, that make you a little bit uncomfortable for a moment, but more comfortable a lot sooner than you realize. Good morning. Welcome back. It is a cool and cold day outside, isn't it? About 22 or so degrees outside. So we got the heater pumping, getting this place nice and warmed up, and we're going to be getting warmed up here in a minute for a good push day. I am pretty pumped about this one. Going to be doing some dumbbell pressing and some cable movements as well. But we're going to be starting with some behind the back lateral raises that I've just been loving these last couple of weeks, the cuffed version of them. So that means we'll be not only breaking out the cuffs, but the pink ball again as well. That doesn't bounce, if you remember, to grip onto and hold. Been really enjoying that movement with that added grip there. Still not really sure exactly why, but it really changes the whole movement in a very, very simple and perfect way. So we're gonna get started with this push day here, get nice and warmed up, take our time getting warmed up as well. It is, like I said, pretty cold outside today. So we're gonna be using these lateral raises to try to get the body as warm as possible before we move over to some dumbbell presses here. Really wanna make sure our elbows are nice and warm, joints are feeling good, all those good things before we move over to that as much as we can, of course. The lateral raise is not gonna be a primary elbow movement by any stretch, but we're gonna get as much out of this as possible. We'll probably set up a band, a rubber band that is, and just do some light tricep pressing as well in between our sets, just to, again, help with the warm-up of the bench press we're gonna do after. Okay, that's enough yabbering. Let's get after it. All right, got our trusty little pink ball. Let's crush these out, a little bit of warm-up first before we really get into it. All right, now don't get too excited. We're breaking out the big weights again. 1 1/4. Big boys. I was gonna up it this week to 25 pounds after I saw just kind of how I completed the sets and everything from last week, even with the myo reps. But 2 things stopped me. One, the myo reps, they didn't really get crushed out of the park. You know, we only did maybe 2 to at most 4 on the myo reps, which is right where we want it to be. You know, getting more than 4, that means there was still work to be done on the table. And less than 2, man, we were just going to be done. You know, if we only got 1 of those in there. So knowing that I hit all my sets and reps, but on the myo reps I was just finished, it means I did a really good job, you know, keeping it under control, using good form, good ROM, good pacing. And even without reviewing the footage, I'm confident that it was a very solid set. I think if I upped it to 25, I could probably do it, but one of those things would suffer, if not multiple of those things. So I'm going to keep it the same weight this week. I might change it up after this first set. I might be like, actually, no, I'm feeling like way stronger than I did last week, way better. Then I might actually increase it. But we're going to keep it the same at least for this first set. And I got a feeling, though, just based on what I saw from last week's written down here, that it's really not going to be something that we're going to want to increase the weight on. Certainly not by a lot. We're only at 22.5 right now. If we increase it, we're going up to 25 only, and that's it. Yeah, that's the right weight. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely not increasing the weight, especially on that left side there. It feels right, but really edging on being too heavy right there. Just gonna do a couple of these. Just get those triceps firing a bit more before we move over to these dumbbell bench pressing movements. Just something to help the warm up along in between these rest sets. That's nice. Alrighty, next set. All right, I'm making a decision. We're taking the big weights off. Okay, we're taking the 1 1/4s off. Definitely better without the 1 1/4s on there, especially that second set there, my left side. It was just right there on the brink, again, of being too much. On my right side, it felt like I was able to get it out with that control, but it was really tough, and it was going to make this last set near impossible. You know, I want to get it to failure. I don't want to stop short before hitting the reps that I'm looking for here. So moving it down on that left side, and that was good. It was a great weight, good feel for it overall, very smooth. Versus the last one I did on my left side, I really felt like I was like, you know, clunking up there, sputtering out, and trying to do everything I can to maintain all the various things that are going to go into a good rep and a good set, but inevitably compromising on probably most of them. All right, last set, and we're going to be doing my reps again on these last ones here. So let's really punish ourselves. That's it. Oh, come on. Yeah. Oh boy. Whew. What a set. What a set. That was good. That was really good. I feel like we were able to get to total failure on both sides here. Not bouncy ball. And the workload felt good. It felt balanced, even, distributed. So overall, pretty happy that we went with 20 this week instead of 22 and a half there. Okay, we're gonna get these, I guess, BDSM restraints off of ourselves and get set up for bench press. All right, we're getting these dumbbells finished up here. We did some lighter warm-ups. We are loading them up to 120 pounds each. And we're going to be doing some very slight incline presses. You can probably see the contraption I've got set up here. Maybe you can't. I've got some weight plates stacked under the rear feet of the bench. Now you're probably asking yourself, why in the heck did you do that? That looks sketchy. It is a little sketchy, but it is actually fine. It's not going anywhere. But the reason is that a long time ago, I measured the increments on that bench, and that bench, the first one is at 30 degrees. And we want this incline to be less than that. We want this one to be around like 15 or so, ish, totally approximate, but certainly less than 30. So if I take two weight plates here, I've got, what do I got, a 35 and a 25. If I take two of those, I get a decent incline, but nothing that's gonna like shoot us up to that 30-degree mark. So we've got 120 loaded up here on the dumbbells. We're gonna get after it with some sets of 8 to 10. We're not going too crazy high in the reps at the moment, but we're gonna be really focused on keeping constant tension all the way through. Really taking it nice and slow, controlled, not locking out at the top completely, not just letting it sit at the bottom. Whew. So the question, why this low incline bench? Well, we know that 30 degrees is going to be a great spot for a traditional incline bench. That's just the way it is, right? In between that 30 degrees, or that first click here, and 0, right, flat, it's going to be a range of effectiveness. And what I know is that when I'm at this about 15-degree mark, ish, again, I certainly didn't break out any kind of protractor to measure this, but when I'm at about this 15-degree mark, I feel like I get the best of both worlds with regards to the strength of my flat press combined with the upper pec work of an incline bench. I get a little bit of both, right? So it can kind of serve as an in-between to help me train my incline press, which, and hold me to this, is going to be something that I really want to focus on here in the coming months. When we start that bulk after Mexico, unless something drastically changes, I'm really going to be focused on my incline bench press instead of my flat bench press. I feel that my flat bench is actually very strong. And I'll throw up a graph here of my, a screenshot rather, of my 1-rep attempts. They're not real 1-rep attempts, they're just like estimations. But I'll throw that graph up just so you can see, my bench press and where it's at. It's fairly high. And I feel like though, when I compare that to what I can do on the incline, it's way less. So I want us to train that for a while. I really want to focus on the strength and size that's going to come from an incline bench press. So this is a good in-between. We're getting the best of both worlds again. A little bit of the strength focus, but also the incline work itself. All right, last set here. Let's take this home. We did it. It's all right. Only got 6 there, but I'm not disappointed with that, actually. That was good solid 3 sets there. Only got 6 on the last set, so I'm gonna make sure I notate that here in my book. 1, that I got the 6 on my last set, but 2, that it still felt strong, you know? So I'm not sure if I just lost like the actual ability to press out those last 2 reps, or gosh, maybe my mind just wandered for a second, caused a little bit of a falter, and then it's just gone, right? The ability to get it back up. I did try to get it back up, you may have seen. With that said, next week, I'm definitely gonna do 120 again. We're not gonna change the weight. I think we can get all of our reps here. All right, we got 80 keyed up here on the pulley, and we're gonna be doing my absolute favorite variation of tricep pushdowns, press downs, whatever we wanna call these, which is an underhand. I guess it's more of a pull down at that point, huh? So just underhand grip on this curve bar and just pulling it back. I love this tricep exercise. It is my absolute favorite one. Discovered it years ago and love to throw it in when and where I can. So let's hit this stuff. All right, increase the weight by 5 pounds. So now we're up to 85 pounds. Oh, that's good. Oh, I just love the squeeze I'm able to get on these. They are oh man, they're my favorite. All right, we bumped these up once more. We're not doing anything fancy on these. We're just here to hit them out. Smack out these reps. We're not gonna be doing any myo, any pyramid, any drop set, none of that stuff. We're just gonna smash out this last set. So I bumped it up once more, 5 more pounds, up to 90. And we're just gonna see what happens here. We're gonna try to take these as controlled as possible with as much of a squeeze at the bottom as we possibly can muster out. Let's hit it. Oh man, that's good. Gosh, I love those. If you've never given the underhand pull down a try, push down a try, give it a go, man. Let me know what you think. I have done both wide grip and narrow grip. I find wide grip gives me a much better squeeze down here at the bottom. It's almost like when you've got the rope and you're, kind of pulling it around your waist a bit, so to speak. You kind of get the same effect with this bar. It's nice and wide, so it stays wide the whole time, and at the bottom, it just feels like you get the same flexion you do in your tricep as you would if you get that rope and you were holding onto it and pulling it around your waist. Now, cable work in the home gym, it can be a bit of work. This is obviously an entirely custom, cobbled up setup here, but that doesn't diminish how effective it is, nor is that a slam on how safe it is either. It's very well stabilized and everything, very well secured. It's just a very custom setup. But as the saying goes, where there is a will, there is a way. And I had a will to have some kind of cable setup in here. It is so very far from perfect, and it's kind of a pain to set up, honestly. But it's not something you can't do in between rest sets or downtime with your normal workout. It just takes a couple minutes to set up. Would I rather have a dedicated, cross functional cable trainer? Absolutely. But I don't have the space in here for one of those right now. And I think I could get, you know, one of the ones that are not huge. They're probably, honestly, they're probably only about that big as this rack. But if I do that, I'm going to be running out of room real quick. And not only are they costly, which is another inhibitor, they're quite expensive. If I get that, then I'm definitely never going to get in here the leg press hack squat combo that I so desperately want, which I feel like is a bigger want and need and probably has more utility than the cross body trainer. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I have always felt though that legs are the hardest thing to hit in the gym or home gym. So the more items I can have just to target those muscles, the better off I think my workouts will be. And from a cross, you know, cable cross trainer, functional trainer, you know, I'm going to get cable flies. I'm going to get bent over stuff, maybe some simpler tricep extensions with their weight stack instead of the plate system. So maybe in a sense I would use it for more overall exercises. But do I need those, and do I not have alternatives to those here right now? I think I have alternatives to almost all of them, if not all of them already. And the balance of how much work it takes to set those up versus how much extra I'm going to get out of having a leg press hack squat is, you know, it's tipped heavily in one direction, I think. All right, we've got these loaded up with some moderate weight here. We got 45 on each pulley, and we're going to do some bent over flies. So just like last time, I would implore you to try it. Trust me. Bent over flies and crossing those arms over at the bottom down here. Even if they're not bent over, even if you're doing regular cable flies, you can't do them obviously with like a pec deck, but with a cable fly, cross those arms over a little bit. Get that slight X at the bottom to get that squeeze in the pec. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, you're missing out. You're missing out. Okay, let's do this. Oh, all right. Okay, set number 2. Let's smash this out here. Oh, man. Shoot. I felt that one a lot more on my shoulders than my pec here. So I want to do a better job this time of keeping those shoulders locked back out of the way and really using the pec way more than my shoulder on this last one here, because that last set was very shoulder dominant. Okay, last set here. Like I said, really going to try to control these so that my shoulder is doing less work and I can use my pec as much as possible. Let's get after it. Oh, that's it. Woo-wee. All right, we're not going to waste any time here. We're going to move this camera over here. We're going to move on to our next exercise. I think you're going to like it. All right, I know why you say, BJ, why the rush? I haven't even taken this other stuff down yet. I want to get right into this. Very, very, very little rest. I'm going to do a set of Sven presses. If you don't know what those are, I'm going to show you here. For as many reps as possible. We're just going to rep this one out. Sven press, very simple. You're going to take a weight plate. It doesn't matter how much it is. And we're going to smash it between our hands. We're not going to let our fingers grip into it. We're not going to let it press into a groove so that we have better grip. We're just going to grab that thing, press it, and we're going to push it out as far as we can and bring it back. Push it out, bring it back. Let's get after it. It's a lot worse than it sounds, I promise you that much. Here we go. Oh, woo! Yeah, that was good. That was a good little superset there. Oh, I love doing those. I don't do them enough. Okay, we're going to clean this up, and we got some cable crunches to wrap this workout up. It's always fun to go back to an exercise like the Sven Press that you haven't done in a really long time and be reminded of why you love it so much. I've always enjoyed that exercise. Not for any particular benefit, but the movement itself has always been one that I've really enjoyed, and I find it's very simple. Most people, I don't think, struggle with the movement itself and understanding the impact it can have from a workout perspective and a work potential perspective. I mean, as soon as you grab that plate and you smash it between your hands, you're already feeling it, right? Because you're smashing it, but you're also holding it in place, right? It's stopping it from falling. And then as soon as you start moving the hand out, you can immediately feel the increased pressure that has to come onto your chest. It's immediate. I mean, there's no waiting. The further out you get, the more pressure, the more tension you put on those pecs. It is the best feeling, the absolute best feeling. All right, we're gonna be wrapping up with some cable crunches here, and I'm gonna be supersetting them with some push-ups. Just, I don't know, kind of feel like it. Just no real reason, just feel like doing some push-ups with it. So on these, I'm gonna be focused. I dropped the weight a little bit as compared to last time. I was doing about 100 to 110, if I remember correctly. We're sitting at 95 here, and I want to reduce it just a little bit for two reasons. One, I remember on that last set, and I wrote this in the notebook, that it was just a little bit too much weight overall. I felt to have a good crunch and contraction, so I want to reduce it for that, number one. And then number two, as an added benefit to that, and in addition to that, I want to make sure I'm really focused on the crunch itself, really pulling it in, holding it there even for half a second, versus just kind of like crunching and letting it go, crunching and letting it go, which is what I'm sure I was doing when the weight was a little bit too much. So slightly reduced weight, but hopefully a much better contraction, a stronger contraction, and an overall better work output for the sets as a whole. I guess I forgot to say these are just stock standard regular push-ups. Nothing crazy. Number two, let's do this. All right, final set of today. Let's make it count, huh? You know, we try to make every single set count, and it doesn't always unfold that way.
It just can't. You know, we're not perfect, full of flaws and mistakes. And that's why every day we have to take the opportunity to accept that those mistakes are going to happen, that we're going to make those mistakes, create those mistakes even, and do our best to keep moving forward, knowing not only that we're going to make those mistakes, but that we did, that we had a misstep, that we had a problem that we have to overcome, that we have to solve for. We can't bulletproof, future-proof, baby-proof everything around us so we avoid those mistakes. Because if we're avoiding mistakes, we're avoiding growth potential. And don't you tell me you can't do it. Don't you tell me you can't take that risk, take that chance. So if you're in the gym and you're doing the safe things, and I don't mean from like literally a safety standpoint, although if you're avoiding things like a back squat or a deadlift because you're worried about getting hurt, you are limiting how much work, how much growth you're going to be able to do. You've got to do those things that are scary. You could do them safely. There's safe ways to do them. They're not outright dangerous, inherently dangerous. They can be if you're not careful and if you're doing stupid stuff, if you're ego lifting. But by and large, they don't have to be. They can provide us the greatest amount of work potential, just like the mistakes we make day to day can. If we're avoiding things that may lead to us making mistakes because we're afraid, because we're scared, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to go anywhere, and we're going to be stuck. Do it. Get out there. No one's going to do it for you. Do you want it? And when you get stuck, you just start to complain and whine and bitch. And nobody wants to be around that. Nobody wants to be around that person who's just whining and complaining all the time, full of excuses, complaints, criticisms, never with any answers. Go find your answers. Stop waiting for somebody to bring it to you, and go find it yourself. Use the people around you. They're there to help you, but they're not there to do the work for you all the time. How bad do you want it? Not bad enough if you're sitting around thinking about it still, complaining about it, wishing, hoping someone would do it for you. Our friends and family can be there to help lift us up in moments of need. But if you're letting them do every single thing for you, or you're relying on them to do that, or you're hoping that they're going to do that for you every single time, you're abusing it. You're abusing it, even if you don't realize it. And I would wager that if that is you, you don't realize you're doing it. I would hope so. Because if you do realize it, that's a bigger problem. It's a much bigger problem. So get out there today. Make some freaking mistakes. Go mess some things up. Go learn and do better next time. That's all we can ask from each other. I hope you make some mistakes today. I hope you learn some things that push you, that make you a little bit uncomfortable for a moment, but more comfortable a lot sooner than you realize. Get after it today. Go do it. You're going to make yourself proud. You're going to make me really proud. Don't give up on yourself. Don't shortchange yourself. I believe in you. I do.